Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is going to be the 15th video on Next.js tutorial, and today we will learn about fetching the data from our MongoDB database. And so that would be a get API that we are working today. So in the previous video, we created post API and we saved our form data. So we saved our this add new user form data in the database, and we created 3 records in the database. Now we are going to in this video we are going to fetch this data from here and we will display it on our Next.js application. So for that, let's go to the Visual Studio and we'll go ahead and create another page. Let's say view. uh, Inside the app we'll create view, and inside that we'll write page dot jsx, and we'll also put this link over here on our header. So we'll go to the header, and over here we'll just copy this and we'll paste it here, and then we'll write view in the link, and it will be, let's say, view. Okay, so let's click here and see. It will give us an error because we need to create the default React export function. So for that, we'll write export default function view all, and then we'll return like this. Now we will go ahead and create the API, the get API. So for that, we will go to our API folder, and over here we already have one route.js file. So let's open it, and we can see we have one post request here. So post API here. So we'll create the get API here itself. Export async function get, and here, since we are already connected with the database using this function, now we'll just simply use a try catch function, and over here we will write return next response dot json, and we'll make success false, and we'll put a message that cannot connect, or we can write error communicating with the database, or we can write no data found. And then inside the try, let's write our fetching codes. So for that, let's create a constant variable. And so we have users over here. So let's write users const users, or write all users is equals to await, and then we'll write user. It's already imported previously in this function. So await user dot find and we'll just write find because we are going to find all of the data. And we'll do is return next response is equals to, oh sorry, next response dot JSON, and over here we'll write success true, and let's say data will be all users. Now we'll see if this API is working or not. So API slash users. So yes, we are getting all of the data here. So now using this API, we will display all of the data in our Next.js front end. So in our apps front end. So we'll just go to view, and in view, we will write a function. So over here, we can do it in two ways. So let me just show you the first way, that is server-side fetching. So server-side rendering. So for that, we'll write async function get all users, and then we'll write let response is equals to fetch, and we'll use a get function. So fetch, and inside this, we will put our API link, API users, and then we'll convert it into a JSON format, into the JSON format. So response equals to await response dot JSON, and we'll return this response. Now inside our function, we'll write export default async function because we are going to call this async function over here. So that is why we'll have to make it async. So export default async function view all. Inside this, we'll write const all users, or we can say const all data is equals to await, then get all users, and let's try to log the information. So console.log all data, and let's check this. So we are getting the data over here. So guys, first of all, here, like, we are checking this console.log over here on the terminal because this is a server-side rendering. This is not a this is not a uh, client rendering. It's a server-side rendering. So that is why console.log will be displayed in the terminal. Otherwise, if it would have been a client component, then it would be displayed on the inspect element console on the browser. So we have got this success true. All right, now we have two possibilities over here. One is success false and another is success true. So we'll run a condition over here that if we'll write if all data dot success is true, if all data dot success is true, then we will write const users is equals to all data dot, so the data is here in this data array, so all data dot data, and we will write else if all data dot success is not true, then we'll return an error message. Let's say write section dot py5, let's say div dot container, and div dot row, div dot col lg6 dot col md 12 dot col sm12 dot col 12 dot mx auto. Inside this, we'll put an alert diff dot alert dot alert danger dot text center, stating that if this is false, then what we will do is we'll display the false message. So for that, we'll write all data dot message. See, if there is no data, it will look like this. So what I have done is I have simply, comment out the fetching code over here. I have commented out this thing, so that's why it is showing no data found. It's just to check how it looks, nothing more than that. And now, okay, it's gone now. All right, now what we'll do is we'll display our data. So for that, we'll return a React component. So return, and over here we'll again use this layout, and over here instead of 6, let's make it at least 7, or make it 8. Okay, it's fine now. And over here we'll use table dot table t head tr th will be serial number, and another one would be, let's say, what all data we have. So we have the first name, last name, so let's put name over here, and then we have email, and then we have phone, city, and gender, and then we have email, and then we have phone, and then we have city, and then we have gender, like this. And we'll use another column by the name action. And we can do one thing. Let's since this is view all page, so we can just hide few of the information here. We will not show all of the information here in the view all page. So we have name, email, that would be all. Name, email, and action. Name, email, uh, phone. Let's hide the city and gender. So name, email, phone, and action, that would be all. And now we'll just create tbody, and inside this we'll use the map function. So we have users, so users dot map, and we'll use two parameters over here, item and index. Item and index. And first of all, we'll use tr and here we'll write key is equals to item dot id. I believe it will not be this id, it will be this id. And let's check this out. And td, Let's check whether it is correct or not. Yeah, it's correct. Because if we'll remove the underscore, then we'll not get anything. All right, fine. Now, first item is serial number. So we'll use index, and since index is starting with 0, so we'll put index plus 1, and we'll put a dot at the end like this. And now we will display the name. So for name, we'll have to write item dot f name, and with a space, item dot l name. We have got the name as well. And now we want to fetch the email. So same way, we'll need to write email, and then we want the phone. We want the phone. We have got the phone number as well. And now all we need is action. So we'll put an action. Let's say we'll put a link tag here, and we'll write view. And we'll need to put href, and here we'll need to write view and slash. So what we will do is, on clicking this view, it will redirect you to a new, it will redirect us to a new page wherein there would be an ID mentioned over here, and will be like this, and we will be fetching the single user using this ID from the URL. So for that, we will just write view, and then we'll make it dynamic. So we'll make dollar, we'll write dollar, and then item dot ID, and see if it is working or not. So yes, it's working. So you can see that whenever we are clicking on this view button, it is passing the ID on the URL. So that's what we wanted. And now we will go ahead and create the single pages. Now for that, okay, one more thing. Let's go ahead and check adding few more data. So let's say Bruce Banner, and it would be Bruce Banner. And guys, if you remember in the previous video, what we did is, after adding a new user, we redirected the we redirected the app user to a view page. So that's what we are going to do it right now, because we removed that in the previous video. So add user form, and here we will write const router is equals to use router, and we'll import it from the next navigation, use router. And once it is done, we will write router dot push and view. So Bruce Banner, Bruce Banner at gmail.com, phone number, city, let's say Manhattan or Seattle, select gender male, and then we'll save this user. So we have got Bruce Banner over here. Let's try to add one more, add users, and let's say Elizabeth Olsen. lizolsen@gmail.com. Enter city, let's say Washington, gender female, and we'll hit the enter button. So we are able to fetch the data over here as well. And also guys, we can make it a client component. It totally depends on you guys what you want to go for. And for making it a client component, all we need to do is we need to we need to write we need to write use client here, and then we need to write use client here, and then we'll just comment this out, and we'll not make it an async function. Instead, we'll just use a const, let's say users comma set users is equals to use state. We'll use an empty array, and over here what we will do is we'll use a use effect hook, use effect, inside this we'll write async function fetch users, and we'll just simply write this thing. And on the response, so since we are using success as well, we'll not do this thing. We'll just simply comment this out. I'm not going to delete this because we'll be working on server-side rendering. I'm just showing this to you as an example. So it's gone. So use state, we need to import it. Do you import use state? All right. Now, okay, we have got this, and we'll call this function fetch users. Now, first of all, instead of returning response, what we will do is we will write, let's try to log it in the console. So log response, and let's see what we get. So we are getting this, and we are getting over here success true and data array 5. Now what we will do is we will create one more variable, const, let's say success, or let's say is success comma set is success is equals to true, sorry, is equals to use state true. So by default, let's say it's true, and now we will assign the values. So first of all, success. So set is success. We'll make it response dot success, response dot success, and then we'll set users to response dot data. We'll use response dot data. Now what we will do is we'll write return, we'll create the component. Let's try to do this. So if is success, if is success, so if it is not success, then what we will do is we'll just display an error, and that will be this thing. So let's make it is success false and see how it looks. Data not found. Okay. And let's go ahead and make it true by default. And if it is true, what we will do is we will create another component, and that will be also this. So we'll just simply write this over there. I'm sorry. We'll just paste it over here. And since it is commented out, we'll just change it. See, now this is the server side rendering. So, sorry, this is the client side rendering, not server side. I'm sorry about that. And now we are going to create another. So set is success. Okay, it's fine now. All right, now let's create the single view page. So for that, inside the view directory, we will create a new folder. It would be a dynamic routing. So we'll write user ID, and inside this, we will create a page, new file, page.jsx. Now we'll write export default function view single user, and we'll return it. So let's click on this. And one more thing, guys, here you can see whatever data we are putting, we are trying to add in the database. The older ones are displayed at the top, and the new ones are displayed at the bottom. So if what we want is we want our new data to be displayed at the top of the table. So for that, we'll use a sorting. So we'll go to the API, and inside the route.js file, we'll just write dot sort, and inside this we'll write, so we'll sort it by the created date. So we will put it in a descending order. So just create it at sort, and then created at, and then we'll write -1 for descending order, and see. Let's refresh the page. Look, the new data that was inserted few minutes ago is displayed at the top of the table. Now we are going to create this file, and for that we are going to use a dynamic routing in the API as well. So inside API, inside users, we will create a new folder by the name user ID, and inside this we'll create another file by the name route.js. Now we'll write export async function get, and here we'll pass two parameters, request, and another one is params, so that we can capture the user ID. And let's call the connect. So we have got the connect, and over here we'll use a try catch function, and we'll write return next response dot JSON, and here success will be false and message will be could not fetch data. Try again later. And inside the try, so first of all we'll fetch the ID, and before that let's try to check if we are able to get the data from our API. So we'll just write true, and message will be getting data from API. And now we'll go to the page, and over here we'll same way we'll create an async function get single user is equals get single user, and over here we'll put the, since we are going to fetch the user ID dynamically, so it would be params, not exactly params, it would be we will use a argument over here, and get single user, let's say user ID param. So let response is equals to await fetch. We'll use the fetch, and we'll write method is get fetch, and we'll just put the API link, and it would be dynamic. So we'll use escape string http localhost 3000, and then we'll write API, and then slash users, and then slash user ID. So for the user ID, we'll put the argument over here, user ID param, and then we'll convert it into JSON format, await response dot JSON and we'll return the same. So return response. Now inside this, we'll write const user is equals to await. We'll call the function, the above function get single user, and we'll pass the argument over here. For that, we'll write params over here so that we can use the ID dynamically, the user ID. So params dot user ID, and since we are using await here, we need to make it async and then try to log the user. All right, so we are getting the API over here. Success is true. All right, now we will create the route. We'll modify the route.js. So over here, we'll first fetch the ID. So const user ID is equals to const user ID is equals to params dot user ID. It would be in small case, lowercase, I'm sorry, user ID. And let's try to check if we are getting this. We are able to fetch the ID or not. So user ID, let's check the console. So we are not able to get it. It says undefined because there might be some problem. Let's remove this. Okay, now we are getting the ID over here. So we don't need to use curly braces here. And now we'll write await. So since we have already connected with the database using this, now we'll write await or we'll just put it inside a variable. So const result is equals to await user. We'll call the user from our schema. So user dot find one, we'll use find one, and we will find it using the ID. So ID will be user ID. And once we get that data, then const next response dot JSON and then success true. And let's leave the message. Let's write result, or we can say data will be result. And let's see if we are able to get the data here. For that, we'll just refresh the page and check our console. It's taking too much time, so there might be some error. So await user const result, success is true, data is result. Await find user dot find one using the ID. ID is user ID. So I think there's nothing wrong with the code. Let's check. It might be a server error. Let's try to restart it. Uh, just a moment. Okay, so we are getting the data here. All right, perfect. So we are able to fetch the data here. So let's check it out one more time. All right, so we are getting the data here. Now let's go ahead and display it one by one. So we'll, all right, let's say result is equals to this, and we'll use const user equals to result dot result dot what we had is data. So result dot data. Now we'll just copy the same layout. We'll just write h1 dot text center. It will be, let's say, user dot fname, and user dot lname. All right, it's working fine now. Bruce Banner, Robert Downey, and then Steve Rogers. So it's everything is working fine. Now let's display all other data. I'm not focusing on the CSS, so just do not mind it. Now h4 dot text center, or let's create a div tag padding 4 rounded bg light, and there would be a border. So Elizabeth Olsen, and instead of this we'll write 6, and let's make it bold. I haven't put it in the CSS, so dot bold would be font weight will be bold. All right, now we can close this route.js file. We are done with that, and now we can mention other details as well. So let's say h4, and let's say email. We had email. What all data we had? We had email, phone, city, and gender. So email will be, let's say, user dot email. All right, and instead of h4, let's make it h5. Email, and then phone, and then we have city, and then we have gender. Here you go. And the last one, we'll just remove the bottom margin, MB0, like this. So this is how we will, create a single view page. And every time when you try to access this view all page, it will be loading the data, and the loading would be a bit slow because this is a client component. So make it let's convert it back to the server side component, server component. And for that, we'll just open this file, and here we have already done this. So we'll just remove the use client. We'll just make it live again, and default async function, and we'll remove each and everything. And we need to write const all data is equals to await get all users, and we are done with this. So we don't require this. All right, so we have got it in the server component like this. So if we click on the view button, let's see if it is working or not. So yeah, it's working. Let's check Bruce Banner. We have got the information for Bruce Banner, and then Steve Rogers, and Natasha Romanoff, and then Robert Downey. All right, so that's how we do create a get API. And that would be all in this video, and we will be learning about uh, updating the data in the database and deleting one from the database in the upcoming videos. So for that, stay tuned, and thank you so much for your time. You have a nice day. Bye bye.